In this tutorial, I'll show you how you can grow grass using the hair and fur system in 3ds Max 9. Now this system was intended to grow hair on 3D characters, but we can adapt it to create convincing grass. Start by creating a plain primitive on which to grow this substance. Turn off the grid and give the object a light green color. You can assign a material to this plane that represents the Earth surface, but that goes beyond the scope of this tutorial. Go to the modifier panel and assign the hair and fur world space modifier. We immediately see a representation of the hair on the object. The styling rollout is not something that we will need. It's used to actually comb that hair and style it in some fashion. I'll close the rollout. And instead, let's start by going to the material parameters rollout. Here is where we can control the color of this substance. I'll set the tip color to a light green hue, and I will set the root color to a darker green. Grass is typically not nearly as shiny as hair is, so decrease the specular amount. I'll close material parameters. Now, that's kind of interesting that the material is controlled within this modifier. I think that's a unique occurrence within Max. The general parameters are what control the most important features of this hair. And that is, first of all, the hair count. Let's start with a lower number at first. How about 3,000 hairs? And we're not seeing 3,000 splines here. This is just a representation of what we will see when we render. The hair segments is the number of segments in the vertical direction. That allows these to curl over, and we probably could use fewer of those segments. Hair passes has to do with how transparent the object is, and we'll just leave that at 1 for now. I'll reduce the scale to 50% so that the grass is shorter. Under frizz parameters, there are controls that allow the hair to curl over, and typically hair curls a lot more than grass does. So the frizz tip angle here is 130 degrees. Let's revise that and make it just 30 degrees. So now the grass is going up more vertically. So there are different settings for the root and the tip. Now, on the rendering menu, if you go to Effects, you will see that hair and fur has automatically been added here as an effect. And you can control some of its features within this panel. Now, I'm not going to get into that kind of depth here. We're just going to do a test render. I'll open the Render Scene dialog and make sure that we have a small test render selected, and then I will go ahead and render the scene. Notice that the plane renders very quickly and that the grass is rendered afterwards as a post-processing effect. So it looks okay. I think we need a lot more density though. You can either increase the hair count or use multistrand parameters, and that's what I will do. It's a little bit more efficient. So for every one strand that we have represented here, I'm going to increase that to 5. And I will increase the root splay slightly so that those strands are separated from each other. You can see that representation here. Whereas before we had 1 spline, now we have 5. Let's go ahead and render that and see the difference. So it's starting to look a lot better. And as you can see, getting convincing grass is just a matter of adjusting the parameters in this modifier until it looks good. I recommend doing lots of test renders on a plane until you're satisfied, and then you can assign the modifier to different surfaces in your architectural model.